Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. It is Spirit of Paradox here, and welcome back to another video. Today we'll be covering Ultimate Wolverine issue number 2, and in this issue, we get to see the people who are in control of Ultimate Wolverine, we get to see the maker, and we also get some lore pages as well. So if you guys are fans of the Ultimate Universe, this is the channel you want to be on. We covered the original and the new here on the channel, so make sure you drop a like and subscribe. Let's begin. The story begins 30 years ago in the North American Union, and we see a scientist who I believe is Abraham Cornelius is looking at a picture of Logan. My proposed weapon project has been postponed once again, pending further analysis. Bureaucrats. But still, our findings have yielded results that may be useful. Though, our first adamantium-infused subject, Weapon Alpha, died within minutes of the procedure. A small but devoted staff and I have discovered a remarkable number of individuals beyond our own, living amongst us in secret. Mutants, so-called the rumored Homo Superior, our potential subjects. Some of these individuals have the ability to heal themselves, others a supernaturally heightened ability. We do not know their full potential, with depending approval from the Department of, and before he could finish his sentence, somebody interrupts him. And we find out this person is the Maker, and he claps. Very good, Professor. Who's that? Who's there? I am but a simple man, in search of a better world. There's no such thing as a perfect world, and the Maker smiles at this. A better world, Professor. Better. What are you doing in here? No one's supposed to be here, and I've never seen you before. What's your clearance? As we see this scientist open up the drawer, having a gun inside, and the Maker responds to him. Clearance? This is my clearance, as he smiles, and then basically does a T-1000 on this scientist by stretching out his finger and then poking it straight through this man's skull, killing him instantly. You see, Professor, I am making this a better world, and a better world is one that you are not in, as the Maker lights up a matchstick and burns the image of Logan, and resulting in the whole building being burnt down. This is a drastic deviation in the timeline, because this was the man that would have made the mutants known to the world at a different point. And now, the Maker knows who Logan is in this universe, signifying how the Maker got a hold of him. In the next page, we go to present time in the Eurasian Tasia, and we see some armored soldiers in some snowy woods, tracking down these footprints and following them. But then, one of these soldiers looks up into the trees and notices Ultimate Wolverine is watching him. In a panic, he shouts, "Up there! Up there!" But it's too late. Ultimate Wolverine jumps out of the trees and gets into action. And I must say, this is a fantastic image. In the next page, we follow up with the Rasputins. And what if someone gets into his puppet brain? What then? Impossible. Make no mistake, leaders, Rasputin and Leader Rossovich, he is ours. How can you be so sure? We are not the only ones with telepaths at our disposal. Perhaps the project should be terminated, says Magic. Terminated? We've sent him on 4 missions already. 4 successful missions. The opposition is reeling. Leaders eliminated several top operatives last month on our western border alone. Successful missions are a dime a dozen, Dr. Petrovich, just like your other creations. And what does that mean? I am tasked with a certain directives and I accomplish them. I fail to understand why I am defending myself when Ilyana Rasputin interrupts her and does the quote-unquote, "He has no memories." You say this, you have said this time and again, but how do you explain what happens to your little winter soldier when he sleeps? Oh, you didn't think I knew? Well, perhaps it is time to check on your project to see for ourselves on how well he is doing. And then we see her using her abilities to teleport them to the Winter Soldier, Ultimate Wolverine. Ah, perfect. Suffering a night of terror as we speak, says Ilyana. Oh, excuse me. With any normal being, this is a regenerative cycle. Restorative. He is dreaming, as she shows on screen. Would I prefer him to be inert? Yes, of course. But this is not an exact science. It takes time. Testing. Lives? He is mostly docile while awake. He obeys. We just remove the specimen. I want to inspect it myself, says Ultimate Colossus. Leader, he is in stasis. To rip him out suddenly would be potentially, and then he grabs the doctor by the throat and tells her, "Do not underestimate how disposable you are, Doctor. Remove the specimen, now." Yes, leader, says Dr. Petrovich. As the stasis doors begin to open, we see Dr. Petrovich get ready. Okay. His vitals are reading normal. Winter Soldier, walk forward. She said that in Russian, if you wanted to know. And we see Ultimate Wolverine obey her command and is completely docile. He commands to verbal commands when prefaced with a designation. Otherwise, he may react, let's say, poorly. And before she could finish, Ultimate Colossus lets her know. Dr. Prostovich, do not dictate how I interact with my own property. I know how to handle creatures like this. It's not verbal commands. And then we see him grab Ultimate Wolverine by the throat. Creatures like this, men like this, they know violence. They respect it. Because unlike you, men like this know there is no such thing as safe. Every second of existence, there is someone or something trying to take from you. And men like this, they know men like me stand in their way. If you don't crush them, if you don't show them your power, your true power, they will resist. It is inevitable, Doctor. After all, he has done so before, so he will reinforce the lesson. The Winter Soldier's rightful place is under our heel, as we see Ultimate Colossus throw him across the room. And Ultimate Colossus says, I think we should see the Winter Soldier in action. No more reports. We want to see Ilyana, Arkady. Yes, a test. Dr. Prostovich should like that. She loves her tests, says Ilyana. We will send 10 of our finest soldiers to pursue the Winter Soldier in a combat scenario, fully monitored. Only one shall emerge. Excellent, says Omega Red. It will not only be a test for your subject, but for you too, Doctor. Fail, and we shall revise your relationship with Director X. Yes, leader. And the rest of the Rasputins basically leave the room. Thank God they're gone. What a mess. Come, Winter Soldier. On your feet. You have a new mission ahead of you. As we continue, we return to the soldiers in the forest, and this was the monitored combat scenario that Ultimate Colossus was talking about. Komarov, he's dead, as one of the soldiers holds his mangled friend, whose face has been cut up to shreds. Hold your fire! Is this the opposition? Is that who's out there? Anyone get a good look at them? Not them. Him. One man. And he didn't look like the opposition to me. The soldiers start bickering among themselves due to the fear that they are in. What? It's got to be the opposition though, no? Another says, I thought, and another one says, I saw him. He looked like, it sounds silly, but my babushka used to tell me stories when I was little of a creature in the woods, the Leshy forest spirit. If you disturb the forest, I saw it too, only for a second. It was running like an animal, on all fours, and another one says like a demon. What the hell are we dealing with? It was no monster, no demon or forest spirit. It's the Winter Soldier. But that's just a myth. Did a myth just slice Kamarov's face off? If it's true, myths are pretty dangerous these days. But I thought rumors of the Winter Soldiers were just one of our men, a tool of the Eurasian Republic's leadership. Perhaps he is. Then why is he hunting us? Perhaps you should be asking why we're hunting him. If he is one of us, then there has to be a reason for us to be here. Simple. We're practice. They're filming us? Why? And this soldier knows exactly what's about to happen, and he lets his men know. So remember that, Conrads. It's him or us. And if it's us, we had better put on a damn good show, as we see Ultimate Wolverine come out of the trees and makes his claws shown to the rest of the soldiers. No. Oh God, no. As we hear the screams of the prior events to what just happened, we see Wolverine getting closer and closer to the screen, holding something looking like two bags. But really, Ultimate Wolverine is carrying the roped up severed heads of these soldiers, as now we see what Ultimate Wolverine is capable of in a controlled combat scenario. Ultimate Wolverine comes across one of the cameras watching the whole event go down. He drops the severed heads onto the floor and looks into the camera, knowing he was being watched, and then he destroys it. And knowing that the Rasputins were watching, Ultimate Colossus says beautiful in Russian. Yes, beautiful indeed, says Dr. Prostovich. And that is where Ultimate Wolverine issue number 2 ends. So now I'm going to read through the lore pages, and they've got top secret documents. So if you guys are into lore about the Ultimate Universe, this could be very important. Top secret, special handling, Memoriam of the Ministry of Defense, Operation Tasia. Leaders Rasputin and leader Rozovich request that a small, highly detailed trained personnel to be deployed to the Tasia region to terminate the unknown target, Ultimate Wolverine, or the Winter Soldier. Possibly opposition origin. Operation Tasia should commence immediately with extreme prejudice. Unknown target is armed and extremely dangerous upon contact. Unknown target is to be eliminated. Absolutely no prisoners will be tolerated. The remains of the unknown target are to be destroyed immediately following termination. Point 2. Leader Rozovich, Omega Red, and leader Ilyana Rasputin, Magic, have requested these individuals to be considered for the operation based on recent training credentials, with the names below. Alternative individuals considered for Operation Tagia must be submitted to leaders Rasputin and leader Rozovich, as well as Min Kulik for approval. As this operation is urgent, it is requested that alternatives to be at a minimum. Further, Operation Tasia serves to ensure the integrity and stability of the Eurasian Republic against combatants, both foreign and domestic. This operation, though discreet, is the utmost importance to the military of defense and the Eurasian Republic as a whole, and should be treated as accordingly. Signed by General Nikolai Kulik, Minister of Defense. The next page we have is a top secret online document written by Elena Prostovich, the woman who is in charge of making the Winter Soldier. And the page says, transcription of private dictation logs of Dr. Elena Prostovich, the Director of Science and Technology for archival purposes. Classified Entry X 25069. It is cold in this office. Leave it to the Eurasian Republic's leaders to cut off the heating in their very own building during a winter freeze. I will remember to submit a request. The Rasputins have been usually skeptical of my Winter Soldier program, culminating in a confrontation in the Winter Soldier lab. This is all baseless, of course, as the Winter Soldier has shown nothing but unbridled success on every mission he has been deployed on, including the incredibly effective raid of the opposition base in St. Michael's last month. Though the other missions were less memorable, they were no less successful. Leader Ilyana Rasputin in particular seems to despise the Winter Soldier himself, though perhaps her distaste has more to do with her disdain for me and my methods. Where Leader Pitor and Leader Rozovich, I might add, sees an asset to further the Republic's cause, Leader Ilyana sees him as a threat to her power. I will not disguise my displeasure with her and her childish attitude towards governance and leadership. I have spoken tersely to her myself, albeit with reason. I do not wish to feel the wrath of her sword, as my predecessor did. Perhaps she is jealous of my success. Under her watchful eye, the opposition has arisen. Under mine, it has seen defeat after defeat. I fear that Leader Ilyana's reluctance to accept the program puts it in jeopardy. And worse, I fear that this will put the entirety of Directorate X in jeopardy. Leader Pitor seemed to be entertaining her position, which led directly to a confrontation in the lab that I had mentioned briefly before. Of course, the Winter Soldier remained docile despite the hostilities. He has been programmed with several measures to ensure that at minimum, he never attacks leaders Ilyana, Pitor or Rozovich, or myself for that matter. This includes the use of code phrases that effectively shut him off like a machine. Known only to me, he may be a living specimen, but he is truly no different from one of those XS modules that I have been testing, and like them, he is mine. What saved the Winter Soldier from further torment was a proposition. The leaders wished to see the Winter Soldier in action against a formidable foe. We could have programmed Sentinels or a new XS modules to combat him, perhaps even programmed a new Office Spana Comandanta scenario. But they have decided to create a false operation in the Eurasian Tasia. They fear that the soldiers will hold back if they know it is a test for a Republic asset. They have falsified an entire series of documents and misled the Ministry of Defense to believe in deploying the best troops and handpicked by our leaders to kill a possible opposition foe. The forest will be rigged with cameras, and the Winter Soldier will be released hours before with similar mission parameters: kill the opposition. The leaders believe this is a formidable task, one that will test the Winter Soldier's keen skills in battle against the Eurasian Republic's fearsome and fearless soldiers. However, they do not know what I do. These soldiers are dead before their feet even touched the ground. And that is where the document ends. So that was Ultimate Wolverine issue number 2, and I've got to say this was a very good issue. So let's talk about the book. So in the beginning we got to see a small appearance from the maker on how he had altered the timeline by killing that scientist in the beginning. I believe that scientist was Abraham Cornelius, but I could be wrong. I know he was very influential when it comes down to the history of Wolverine with Weapon X and the adamantium claws. And we see the Maker pull up and tell him that he is trying to make the world better in his own image. And he honestly believes that this scientist was probably going to be a problem in the future if he didn't get rid of him. And we also know like the Maker would do something like this, and honestly I thought his appearance was really good, especially how he took out the scientist using his finger to stretch out and using it as a weapon, just like the T-1000 in Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And this also shuts down my theories about this being a potential original Ultimate Wolverine, because clearly this scientist knows who Logan was in Earth 6160, and now the Maker does too. So this is evidence to show that this is a completely new Ultimate Wolverine. Sorry guys, my theories were wrong again, but I'm still gonna keep on theorizing regardless. We also got to see the relationship this Wolverine has when it comes down to the Rasputins in the Ultimate Universe. We see that Ileana, or Ultimate Magic basically, doesn't seem to like the idea of having this Winter Soldier, and we see that Ultimate Colossus is also quite reluctant about him and wanted to see what he's capable of in a combat scenario. And we also got to see Colossus throw around Ultimate Wolverine across the room, which was also pretty cool. Still waiting to see Ultimate Omega Red do something crazy, but I guess we gotta keep on waiting for that. Also, something I really liked in this was the fight scenes between the soldiers and Ultimate Wolverine. Even though we didn't get to see him like go at it, like swinging the claws around, we got to see the aftermath, but we obviously they know what they was implying on what just happened. And we see Wolverine just walk up with severed heads all roped up together. Like, that is some hardcore shit, and I think that is really cool to see that kind of violence on Wolverine's character. And it really does remind me of like the original one being really dark. So for me, I really am enjoying this run so far, and I really have enjoyed this new one. But I do know that we are going to be seeing Ultimate Sabretooth later this year, and he seems to be looking like a wolf kind of beast mode. And the thing is, Ultimate Sabretooth from the original Ultimate Universe had like a feral kind of animalish form, so maybe there could be some like homages there towards that. But overall, folks, I'm really enjoying this book and I can't wait to see more. What do you guys think about this book in the comments below? You know what to do there. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like, and if you didn't, drop a dislike. It is okay. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.